Welcome back to the Leaders of Leaders podcast. Today I'm here with David Goodwin, the CEO of Liberty Behavioural Services. G'day, David.
Hey, Brett. How you doing?
Good. Mate, thanks for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.
So you're, the CEO of Liberty.
Yep.
Now, I heard on a podcast last year that you've had a bit of a different, injection into, the disability world. So what's been your experience?
My experience of disability was in some part temporary because I recovered largely from a brain injury, and I still have some residual things from it. But my experience during that time of having a brain injury was of my body betraying me and also being micro-controlled by other people. I think it's the one frontier that underlies the entire disability sector is that the emotional thing going on underneath is that support workers, families, people around people with disabilities supporting them need to learn to lessen control over somebody, to allow somebody else to make decisions about their life independently, regardless of if those decisions are perfect, if they're, haven't considered everything. People are still allowed to make decisions that have risk, that have, that might go wrong, and when I experienced disability, I experienced being quietened and told to kind of, sit in the corner while other people make those decisions about me. And it was something that I really resonated with and thought, I don't want this experience to happen to other people.
Yeah. So then you've taken that experience and you've, stepped into leadership. You started Liberty. How was that transition going from your lived experience into a leadership and growing a team?
There's the one thing I didn't want to do when I started a company, and I've made sure that I haven't done, is to create a hierarchical system where one person's opinion is worth more than another person's opinion. Where power dynamics and titles are the thing that dictates what ideas make it through and what ideas don't make it through. So what I've tried to do at Liberty is create a network of empowered, capable, curious practitioners who, regardless of what stage they're at in their career, can contribute something to the network, can bring something, can bring ideas, to be not afraid of getting it wrong, but being an active participator in the network. And I think that's been a really golden thing for me. And I think that culture is really undervalued in companies. And I've had plenty of people say to me a lot of times, you could improve this metric by doing this. For example, you're too soft, you need to start threatening more or things like that. But for me to protect the culture and to protect the experience, to create a platform of safety where people can flourish is the most vital thing to align with my values and also to keep Liberty being successful the way that it is. Yeah.
So then how have you consciously gone out of your way to embed that culture into everything that's done?
Well, an example is the practitioners present to the entire network. That we've got multiple presentation groups. So we've got extra supervision groups for newbies, and some of them present in those 0 to 6 month or 6 to 12 month, or some of them present to the whole network. And the presumption is that they know something so worthwhile and have such an interest in an area that it would be worth the entire network taking an hour or 2 hours out of their day to come and listen, to comment, to create conversation about that topic. The other thing is we've got intertherapist consults, so everybody in the network can access everybody else's specialties in the network, which again is trying to say, no matter what, you bring some helpful knowledge in one area, and when you are stuck in an area, you don't need to go to a generalist person. You can really super speed your effectiveness here by speaking to somebody really experienced in that domain.
Yeah. So do you think then that, you know, for example, organizations where you've got that one expertise, like the generalist that you mentioned, do you find that having the panel of experts or the network of experts, do you find that has a better outcome compared to the generalist?
I think that it has more voices, and when there's more voices in a room, it's better.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Bill Gates described creating a good quality product or service as stones in a washing machine. And he said they would need to go round and round and round hundreds of times to slightly get smoother and more polished and things like that. And at the end of it, they would come out these beautiful, you know, collectible stones. But he said to do that, you need to have gentle friction, and you need to have debate, and you need to have lots of different ideas and professions coming in to intersect onto the same element, because otherwise you don't scaffold it enough into the right direction.
Okay. So then, you know, there's support there. So like you said before, if you're not sure around something, there's network of experts that you can go to, and, you know, more people are going to have that, you know, opinion, that voice, that debate. And then it's like that then polishes that, you know, the knowledge that you've got that you can then grow on as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It's a collective brain. It's a hive, basically.
Yeah. And look, full disclosure, I'm actually employed by Liberty as a contractor for behaviour support. So I'm part of this network of experts. And my experience is that, you know, there are lots of people out there that have opinions and experts and expertise. And, you know, every time I've had a question, I've gone to this panel of network, and it's been amazing with the feedback that I've gotten. So it's, you know, really beneficial to my growth as a practitioner, but also to practitioners that I've seen that are new to the industry, like new practitioners. They've then taken things out of that network as well. So it's support on support, which is really great.
It's really good to hear.
So then, you know, you're like Liberty are a quick growing company. How have you found that the growth has been supported?
I think that the number one driver of growth is quality. There's lots and lots of companies in the NDIS, in terms of the ones that have been caught out in fraud or doing unethical things, that are what I would call like flash in a pan companies. They establish, they make as much money as they can with the lowest possible quality, and then they phoenix up as a new name and just repeat. For a company to stay, you know, 3 years, 5 years, or like 7 years, which Liberty has, you really need to have a reputation. You need to have quality that you protect, and you need to have people that are striving for excellence, not just, you know, billable hours. So people that are genuinely invested in the outcomes of participants, in making their lives better, in reducing restraint and increasing human rights. So for sure, quality and re-referrals is our main source of growth. We are averaging a lot higher than most companies in terms of referrals. So we get usually between 80 and 120 referrals every month, which is very high. But I think people are also finding that our ability to provide them with the right practitioner fast has been a really key element of that. So our system will cross-match every element of their intake form against every element within practitioners' profiles of who they feel like they, what areas they feel like they excel in, who they like to work with, like age groups or potentially diagnoses that they've worked with before, what length of distance they are willing to travel, all of these sort of things. And then there's an algorithm in the background that means within like 5 seconds of them hitting submit, it goes to the most appropriate practitioner with capacity to send them a text message to say this has come through, and they can go into the referral to see it or reject it. So I think that that drive to provide speed at a time when it's critically important has been really important, because people don't refer to us unless they're at a really high pressure point where they're at high risk of harm to themselves or others, and or their quality of life is massively being diminished. So they can't really afford to be told, oh, we'll see you in 3 months or 6 months, you know, when things are spiraling downwards.
Yeah. And look, things happen, like change quickly in terms of that spiral. So you want someone who's on the ground as quick as possible, but has that expertise and that the support behind them as well.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to like business mentors online on YouTube or wherever, and they talk about how, you know, you need that speed to, it's not necessarily the best quality that gets the job. It's the one that reacts quickest, but also has the quality. And I think that's where Liberty is, you know, filling that gap of having that speed and the quality and the support and everything else around it. Yeah,
well, we intend to partner with people for as long as they require the behavior support. And sometimes that's 2 years, sometimes it's for very complex cases where the behaviors are changing often, it's 5 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is very true that it's often the first person to get back to them, the highest person on Google search, that sort of thing. But that's to get them in the door, to get people to not just stay, but partner with you, which is what is 100% required in behavior support. Because if you don't have social validity and buy-in from people, you can write the best report in your life that you think, and it'll go in their desk drawer or in a filing cabinet, you know, and it just won't come to life.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite of what we want. Our only intention is to make ourselves redundant and to leave with capable, confident teams feeling like they've got this great toolkit that isn't restrictive practices, that isn't controlling somebody, that's letting them have their voice available to them.
Yeah. So then you're talking before about having, you know, Google search, your Google search results having being at the top of the list helps.
Yeah.
How have you found that other ways have helped Liberty grow as well?
I think that treating the sector as an opportunity to come together and do good things rather than a competitive marketplace is really important. When other organizations are doing good things to create good outcomes, it should still be championed by the sector rather than felt like a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that having authenticity and genuine mission in this sector is really important to people understanding who you are, what your organization stands for, why you're here, and what the ethos is. You know, we're not car salesmen. We're people that are attempting to change lives for the better. And whatever method we can use to get to that outcome, we'll use it. And whatever partnerships, whatever resource, if it benefits the client, then it benefits the client.
Yeah. And you're saying before about competition within the sector. Like a lot of businesses see it as, I've got to go and get these. I've got to keep the referrals in house. I've got to, they might have support coordination and allied health in the same business, and they're only referring to themselves because they've got to keep those clients for themselves so the business grows. But then, how do you see that in terms of benefits for the outcome, but also competition to improve the sector?
It's been the one biggest hurdle for us to get referrals. Although we do have that very large number of referrals coming in each month, it is difficult sometimes to know what's going on in the sector, in terms of there are lots of large organizations that have major support coordination teams and major behavior support teams, and I've heard the speak around it that, choice control, we just have to show the client 3 organizations, but we make sure we put ours as one of those 3. And, we purposely haven't done this, even though it would have massively improved our business outcomes, because to have an inorganic method of referrals means that the bar for quality is much lower.
Yeah.
You don't have, imagine we have to go above that bar of convenience to go, actually, I had such a good experience with Liberty Behavioural Services that I want to refer there, instead of, that natural psychology loyalty that people have to their own organization. And I think in some ways, yes, it may have meant that we've grown slower because of it, but it also may be the thing that's been the best thing about Liberty, is that we've had to prove ourselves without any cheap methods.
Yeah.
And therefore quality, excellence, and human-centric approaches has been the cornerstone of how we've grown.
Yeah. So then, like you said, the growth may have been slower, and a lot of businesses will try and rush to that growth phase and get there as quick as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then, if your systems aren't in place,
yeah,
and you had that massive bit of growth,
yeah,
then it's going to fall down anyway.
Yeah.
So you're talking about how the growth has been slow, but then a lot of businesses will race to that growth phase and trying to get there as quick as possible, so they've got that revenue, that turnover. But then if they don't have the systems in place, then the business is going to fall over.
Yeah, so you either decide, do we chance it and not do compliance because we see compliance as something that we're tolerating and we'll just cop fines, or do you see compliance as intricately aligned with human rights and the liberation of people? And if you see compliance as that second one, then you really take it seriously to ensure that you're going to achieve compliance, but also you're going to do it in a way that is practical and easy for practitioners. For example, remembering, if you've got 20 clients, remembering the dates of all 20 clients' interim behavior support plan due dates, comprehensive due dates, it's really overwhelming. And knowing that it's law that you have to meet these compliance dates, and you'd have to have a very good reason why you didn't meet it if you went over it, is a little bit disconcerting for them. So building systems not only allows us to achieve compliance, but allows us to achieve culture and happiness, because people aren't racing out of the sector because they're afraid. People are saying, okay, there's the bar. I get how we achieve it. Let's go do this job, basically. So when we the amount that we invest in systems is probably a lot higher than the sector average.
Yep.
And what I've said to all of my executive staff is to build the systems as if we have 250 practitioners right now.
Yeah.
Sorry, and we'll spend the amount of money as if we were already at that size of a company. And in the worst case scenario, we have our 130, 140 pracs experiencing a system that is a lot more developed for them. That's the worst case scenario. They've got this great system, this really thought out system that has a lot of irritations removed from it. It's constantly trying to remove any sort of irritations from it. There are some when you build your own technology, but the pursuit of having a system that would be good enough to hold for 250 practitioners, even though we only have 130, 140, is something that it gives me peace of mind. And it's something I'll never regret. It's something that you don't look back and you say, oh, I wish we spent less and made that, more rudimentary and less smooth and less user-friendly.
So I guess it goes back to, in a behavior support plan, you've got the positive, the proactive strategies and the reactive strategies. And it's like you're going, well, if we're getting ahead of this, we're building this for the long term. That's the proactiveness of it rather than trying to play catch up and you've got the reactive strategies.
Yeah, it's setting up the environment for success.
Yeah.
It's very similar to positive behavior support.
Yeah. So then what's made that shift for you to go, hang on, we need to be more proactive rather than every other business out there that is just relying on those reactive strategies?
I think it started with a little pebble of a thought where we thought, one irritation that was happening was people wouldn't know where the admin team was at with their service agreement renewal. And we thought, what if we could make that more visible to show them at what point is it currently at or stuck at? So, for example, getting endorsed on the portal. What if we could alleviate that frustration without them needing to ask, just see it? And so we initially thought, let's get in a developer to make that. And since then, we came up with around about 1,000 ideas of other things that could eliminate irritation. And the excitement by creating those systems, a smoother experience to just create less friction in their experience and less overwhelm at the magnitude of what they're trying to do. It's exciting, and it as it comes together. Sometimes technology is a bit bitsy, and then it starts coming together, and it comes together as a bit of a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So
then, talk about being transparent with the service agreements and where things are at, and the network that you've built, and all the other supports that are in place. Like, we're looking at the work health and safety legislation that talks about the psychosocial hazards and the lack of role clarity or the uncertainty it seems like everything you're doing within Liberty are meeting or exceeding these psychosocial hazards. Has that been intentional without realizing it?
It's funny because there's been many decisions that have been made in Liberty just based off moral compass and wanting to do the right thing. I have no business degree, and none of the executives either have any business degrees. So sometimes, for example, things catch businesses by surprise. So superannuation, when we decided to pay superannuation, it wasn't a legally required thing. So when the government, it was unclear whether it was legally required. So we could make a choice on whether we could argue that it wasn't, or we could just do it. So we decided, let's just do it. Let's make sure people's super set up for their retirement. Let's do everything right by the pracs. And, there's no sleep lost doing that. And then, you know, legislative requirements come out saying you did have to pay super, even though it was ambiguous before. We don't care that it was ambiguous, and we're going to backdate for however long any company didn't pay super. And it's similar to this psychosocial hazard. It's like, if you set up your organization in a way that is only intended to do good and create flourishing people, happy people, capable people, it's not scary when psychosocial, you know, things come out, because it's what you're doing anyway. It's more so an affirmation of what you're doing and how people should be treated in the sector.
Yeah, I think too that a lot of businesses are going that we're person-centered and we need to look after the clients, but they're not looking after the staff that are looking after those clients.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, you know, Liberty are doing really well in that, providing that support to the practitioners so that they can provide the support to the clients.
Yeah. Yeah, we call it servant leadership. So the only role of executives is to support the practitioners in their purpose of serving the customers. So we serve the practitioners so that they may serve the customers.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we've got a bit of a tradition on the podcast, Dave, where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, not knowing who it is. And the question that's been left for you is, what's something that you believed was essential to success 5 years ago that has since realized it doesn't matter?
Perfectionism and knowing every answer at the start. It's totally not required. A relentless pursuit to find the answer is what is required. Yeah.
And, you know, what might be the answer today probably won't be the answer next week.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for your time today, David.
Thanks, Brett.
I'm also getting in contact with David. I'll put his put some details in the show notes. And if you have any clients to refer to Liberty, I'll put the referral form link in the show notes as well. And yeah, thanks for your time today, David. We'll, I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future.
Thanks, Brett. See ya.
Awesome. Thank you. And remember, look after yourself first so you can look after others. See you next time.